Hello, everybody. I'm Mel Doerr, the Aloha shirt psychic from Chicago. Some of you might be saying doesn't look like an Aloha shirt, but it is. If I stand up, you can see the little waves on it. It's my long sleeve Aloha shirt. Um, Welcome to Morning Moments with Mel. So let's get busy. Grab yourself a cup of Joe and let's go. First of all, some business. I do have one opening left on my Africa trip. And if you're interested, email me, mel@meldoor.com. We will be out of my office from March the 10th until probably the 23rd. So if we don't get back to you right away, but on Africa, I will get back to you. I'm excited about our Chicago event, which is going to be the last weekend in September. And I'm really excited about that. Those presenting will be Linda Grendo, myself, Kevin Lewis, Kevin Chandler, Kim Copeland, and Deanne will be here, and PD. They'll be doing a talk one night. And so Kim's going to bring her books, Linda's going to bring her books, Deanne and PD are bringing their oils, and it's going to be really, really fun. We are going to have it at Pippin's in Chicago. My friend Lynn McKinney owns the bar and grill and restaurant, and it's incredible downstairs. The venue is going to be amazing. On, I think, Thursday night is meet and greet. Then we'll do all day Saturday, all day Sunday. We'll have like bagels and just some continental style things for breakfast. Lunch will be buffet, and we do have non-meat options. Dinners, you're on your own. And I'm very, very excited. On, I think, Friday and Saturday nights, we have to have the room free. Well, Saturday night is closing night. We have to have the room free by at least 7:30 p.m. But anybody that wants to hang around until 9 o'clock, they're going to have dueling pianos. Admission for that is free. If you'd like to eat, you can go upstairs to Pippin's. The restaurant is great up there, or you can order limited from the menu downstairs. So we're going to have lots of fun. I'm really excited. We've got some neat volunteers coming. My friend Rosaire is going to help out. My husband's going to help. Linda's nephew, Vinny's going to help. PD and Deanne are going to help us out. So it's going to be an incredible thing. All right, enough about the infomercial. As you all know, tonight is Biden's State of the Union address. And my guides are telling me that it's going to be absolutely stellar. I had predicted that Biden will become a lot more vocal about his accomplishments, and we will see that tonight. I think it's good for him because he's 81, even though Trump is only 3 years younger. Everybody's worried about Biden's mental health. They should be worried about Trump's. But Biden, as I said, will do stellar. I think it's a chance to show everybody he's 81, but he's on top of things. He's with it. And I'm just excited about it. My feeling is he's going to address his biggest wins tonight, as well as becoming more vocal, as I said, about preserving our democracy. That's huge. Now that SCOTUS has allowed Trump's name to be on the ballot, our saving grace is for every one of you to get out there and vote. And if you all know somebody who can't get to the polls, offer to give them a ride. Offer to get them to the polls. It's really important. So I see Biden being much more vocal about preserving our democracy. I think he's going to talk about price gouging from some of the large companies and outline what he's going to do to hopefully prevent that. He's also going to talk about he's also going to talk about the border deal that was bipartisan and that didn't come to the House floor because Johnson didn't want it to, and we all know that was at Trump's urging. So Biden's going to talk about that, in my opinion, in my psychic opinion. I do feel or sense or see psychically that he'll get some heckles, probably from the likes of Marjorie Taylor Greene. But my feeling is Biden is going to be on top of that, and he will put them in their place in a nanosecond. He might get a few boos, but here again, it's not going to hold him back. And that shows what a good leader he really is. I think he's going to talk about abortion rights and how those need to be protected. And my guides show me at some point, Roe v. Wade will be upheld. And I think at some point in the speech, I don't know if Biden will address secession, but he's going to let certain states know if they're thinking about it, that it's not cool. But here again, he'll get some heckles, but he'll put them in his place. I'm glad he's going to be talking about abortion rights. I'm looking at my notes here. That's why I'm looking off to the side. He's going to speak about Russia's invasion of Ukraine and how horrible that was, but he'll talk about it in explicit detail. And my feeling is he's going to call out the House MAGAs like Johnson and Trump for not bringing the border deal to the House floor. It was bipartisan. Basically, Biden gave them pretty much everything they wanted, and they still said no. I mean, if they said they wanted X, Y, and Z, and he gave them A through X, Y, and Z, they'd still say no. And they're using it as a political ploy to make Trump look big. So that deal also included funding for Israel and for Ukraine. And he's going to talk about the ramifications for them not funding Ukraine. You know, Trump is frightening. He really is. He said that he wants to withdraw the US from international partnerships, and I take that to mean NATO. And who is, in fact, pushing Trump to do that? Who do you think? Putin. You know, they're in each other's hip pockets. I feel Biden will address, as I said, how Trump plans to withdraw US support from international partnerships. And Trump even said that he'd encourage, now grab this, and he would encourage Russia to attack US allies who don't meet NATO spending guidelines. And he never makes he never makes a criticism of Putin, nor did he ever criticize Putin for Navalny's death. Because obviously he's friends with Putin. I'm talking about Trump. My feeling is that Joe Biden will call that out as well. When Trump said that he would encourage Russia to attack US allies who don't meet NATO spending guidelines, what countries do you think that is? My guides tell me it's Eastern European countries who aren't wealthy countries. And Trump is playing right into Putin's rhetoric when Putin said that any country that joined NATO, I think he said after 1992 or 1993, he wouldn't recognize, because Putin has made it clear that he wants all of those old countries that were part of the former Soviet Union. He wants those back. And I asked my guides, will he succeed? And they say, absolutely not. He will not succeed. Now, for a while, it's going to look like Putin and Trump will score a few victories. And that's what it's seeming to be right now. But remember, my guides say justice will be done. And just because it looks as if they're winning a few battles, they have a few victories, and they'll have more victories and win some more battles, they will not win the wars. Remember that. They will not win the war. I don't see Ukraine giving up. They're not going to surrender. And I see at some point Trump called to action for everything he's done wrong, especially criminal activity. I think there's over 40 indictments against him. You know, they call themselves, that nothing sticks to him. I call him Teflon Trump. But I was talking to Linda, Grindle, and Deanne the other night, and I said, but I see those sticky notes all over him, and they're stuck with super glue, and the Teflon is not, it's not going to slide off the Teflon anymore. So I think it was very dangerous for Trump to make that statement about any country that didn't meet their NATO spending guidelines. He wouldn't say anything if Putin attacked. That's a very dangerous thing to say. I think Yulia I think it's Navalnaya and Olena Zelenska. Olena Zelenska is the first lady of Ukraine. They were invited, but I don't think they'll be able to make it. But I do feel that Navalny's death is a spark that will ignite, I don't want to say revolution, but will ignite a huge movement, revolution like, that will overturn Putin. And we need something like that, they need that. So I see Putin gone at some point. And my guides assure me that Trump is not going to win the general election unless there's shenanigans. But in order for Biden to win, and it can be changed, my guides tell me, in order for Biden to win, everybody must get out and vote. Every vote counts. Every vote counts. I was thinking about the spirit of Franklin Delano Roosevelt, and he came to me. I know it sounds kind of weird, but he came to me, and there was a State of the Union address that he did. And in that State of the Union address, he said, we must preserve freedom of speech, freedom of worship, freedom from want, and freedom from fear. And my feeling is Biden will speak about some of those things tonight. I keep bringing this up, but I'm going to say it many times, you'll hear it. When I had cancer, I was paralyzed by fear, paralyzed. I felt like I couldn't move. Nobody knew about it, but inside. And I said to my guides, what do I do? And the message came through loud and clear. Let the fear get behind you and push you forward. Don't let it stand in front of you and hold you back. And my guides say that's the advice to our nation. Don't let the fear paralyze you. Be vocal. Write your congressperson. I don't care if they're Democrat or Republican. Tell them that you will not tolerate these sorts of things. Let the fear push you forward. Get out and vote. Be vocal. You have a right to peaceful protest. If you have to do that, do that. And I think it's this grassroots movement that will keep Biden in office. People are worried about, the Arab American vote. Will Biden lose that? A lot can happen between now and the election. This is March. The election's not until November. A lot can happen between now and then. And Biden is going to become more vocal about what Israel is, or about what Netanyahu is doing in Gaza. I'm totally pro-Israel, but not pro-Netanyahu. It was horrible that Hamas, working in conjunction with Iran and Putin, I'm sure Trump knew a little bit about that, invaded Israel. And Israel had the right to retaliate. But when Israel had it won, Netanyahu should have stopped. Now innocent people are being killed. So I do see at some point Biden getting the Arab American vote. He's going to get the Black vote. He's going to get LGBTQ vote. He's going to get a lot of women votes because they're really angry about Roe v. Wade. And I think that the Republicans are thinking about some shenanigans, like when the Democrats take back over the House, they're going to try to find some reason not to seat the winners, but that won't work. That'll fly right out the window. Many people are curious about Trump's trial. I think he's got 4 going on. The one in March, that's I think in the state of New York, that's not federal. And Trump is going to be found guilty. It's a Stormy Daniels cover-up. He's going to be found guilty. And I would call that a high crime or misdemeanor. He's going to be found guilty of that. he'll appeal it. But let's say he gets a sentence of jail time or house arrest or whatever it is, he still has to do that jail time or house arrest until, even if it's on appeal, until the appeal is settled. He's not going to win on appeal, by the way. I never saw Trump going to jail, and he's got to watch his health. But as far as the federal documents case is concerned, and this is for entertainment purposes only, my feeling is that Judge Eileen Cannon is in Trump's pocket. In fact, I think he's come out and said that if he wins, he'll put her on the Supreme Court. She's got about as much right being a judge as I do being a brain surgeon or a rocket scientist, and that ain't gonna happen. In fact, on that documents case, Trump is going to try to get it thrown out. But that's going to backfire because I see Eileen Cannon making a ruling that's going to be overreach. And I think that I intuit Jack Smith will take it to the district court. And my psychic feeling is they will remove her from that case. The Georgia case, I see coming to trial, and it's going to be before the election. Fani Willis, I intuit, I psychically predict, I could be wrong, but I feel like she will still be prosecuting the case. Trump will try anything to assassinate anybody's character who goes against him. He's going to cry broke for the $485 million or whatever it is he owes, plus E. Jean Carroll. But I see him getting money under the table. And if he does that, then that's going to be income, and the IRS can come after him for that. So my feeling is he'll have to liquidate properties. And Trump is not as wealthy as he led everybody to believe. We all know that now. So, okay. I see that he's going to be indicted in New York on criminal charges for the fraud he committed. The one case was civil, but the next case will be for criminal. And I see him found guilty of that. The other case with him inciting the January 6th insurrection, I predict psychically that will take place before the election. I'm thinking maybe June, end of June or beginning of July. It'll be wrapped up before the election. I predict that Trump will be found guilty there as well. And he's going to appeal that, but he's still guilty. And even if he appeals it, he's got to wait to see what the appeals court says. Trump is thinking if he's a president, he can pardon himself. But if that would go to, he's not going to be president, but if that went to the Supreme Court, the Supreme Court would say, no, a president doesn't have a right to pardon himself and doesn't have a right to commit crimes carte blanche that would be outside the presidential duties. So remember what FDR Spirit said, freedom of speech, and Trump would try to curtail that with everybody. Freedom of worship, well, he's pandering to the ultra right-wing Christian nationalist, but if that's Christianity, count me out. But we have freedom of worship, freedom from want. There shouldn't be homeless in this country, and freedom from fear. So please don't get paralyzed by the fear. You hear my dog barking, that means the mailman is here. Okay. Alabama just passed a bill last night, Wednesday night, granting civil and criminal immunity for in vitro fertilization providers and receivers. And the bill said it was signed into law too by Governor Ivey. I think they knew they made a mistake when they pulled that whole IVF thing, but it was signed into law by Governor Ivey. And so what it does is if somebody's going through IVF and if the fetus is, or the embryo is injured in certain ways, or if it dies, then there's no criminal liability for the IVF provider or for the person that receives the IVF. It brings up a lot of questions. years ago, they would put in maybe 2 or 3 embryos. And if one was pulling energy from the others, they would do a selective reduction. But with the abortion laws in Alabama, they'll probably try to make that illegal. But remember, this whole anti-abortion thing is a temporary state of being. At some point, Roe v. Wade will be upheld, and my guides assure me that justice will be done and that our democracy will prevail. It's funny, I was thinking of Hunter Biden, and I think his testimony was behind closed doors, but some way that's all going to be made public. And he held himself wonderfully. And he's really going to be going after Marjorie Taylor Greene for showing that nude picture of him and the likes thereof. And I see him filing lawsuits, and my guides tell me that he's going to win. So good. I think at some point he will consider and will run for political office, and he will win. And if they try to bring up, oh, he had addiction issues, he's had this, he's had that, well, we can always default back to Trump. Look at the hush money he paid to a prostitute, Stormy Daniels. Look at the fraud he's committed. Look at the crimes Trump has committed. So what I see at some point in this country is an end to the hypocrisy and an end to, over here, turning their back on something, and then over here saying that same something is wrong. I see an end to that. And I see this country coming back to common sense. And we take back our critical thinking instead of being ruled by fear and people playing on xenophobia and on our emotions. So I'm glad for Hunter. Also, the whole thing about impeaching Biden, I see the likes of Jim Jordan and Comer gone. In fact, I see them under indictment at some point, and I see them convicted. When they proved that Smirnoff was lying, you think that the MAGAs like Jordan and Comer would have dropped it. Well, Comer didn't even show up, I think, for the Biden hearing. He took off. That shows me that he doesn't have integrity, and that he's, I don't want to call him a coward, but it was an act of cowardice. But anyway, the MAGA should have said, okay, Smirnoff lied. We have nothing to go on. Oh, no, 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 no. Jim Jordan and Comer, they want to push to impeach Biden, and it's going to blow up in their face, as it already has, big time. The other thing is Mitch McConnell. He came out and spoke out against Trump big time. He talked about how wrong the insurrection was, how I couldn't support Trump. But yet, now that Trump is the presumptive nominee, Mitch McConnell endorses him. That's a hypocrite. I felt that Mitch McConnell was probably pressured from the party, and he probably felt like he was doing right for the Republican Party, but it was the absolute wrong thing to do. How could you endorse somebody who's a criminal? Help me out with that one. Mitch McConnell's wife is going to be in hot water, my guides tell me. As will Clarence Thomas's. I see Jenny Thomas being called to task for her participation in January the 6th. I don't think Clarence Thomas is going to recuse himself from a lot of these cases. A lot of people are angry about SCOTUS saying that Trump's name couldn't be taken off the ballot. I strenuously, disagreed with SCOTUS's decision that it was okay for Trump's name to be on the ballots, but in a way, something good will come out of it. Because had they said that Trump's name had to be taken off the ballot, MAGAs would have said, well, Biden did this, Biden did that, so in certain states, we're taking his name off the ballot. So by doing what they did, my feeling is it probably preserved the election so that Biden can win. As far as the SCOTUS case against Trump being immune from prosecution, I think I've already answered that question by virtue of the fact that I see Trump going to trial on the federal cases for the federal charges. So if he were immune from prosecution, those would never come to trial. So the Supreme Court is going to rule that he's not immune from prosecution, and that will send him a message that, look, you can no longer get by with thinking that you're immune or above the law. I don't think Trump will ever get it. He's always going to blame everybody else. The bigger question that people are asking is, when is Trump going to go away? I don't wish him harm, but he really has to watch his health. You know, they talk about Biden being 81. Trump is only 3 years younger. And I tried to watch his speech on Super Tuesday, and I couldn't. I had to turn it off. It was so disjointed and unhinged. It was ridiculous. So he's the one that people should worry about being a little unhinged, but he's really got to watch his health. I'm very concerned about that. People ask about Citizens United. They have the right to operate, but at some point I see them losing a lot, and I mean a lot of their power, as well as the NRA. I see the NRA is going to be in some legal problems as well. So Citizens United thinks that they're all that in a piece of toast right now, but I do, as I said, see them being struck down. I think some of the lawyers who represented Trump in some of the frivolous cases, I see them being sanctioned. So all I can say is, over the next 2 or 3 months, buckle up. Actually, over the next, let's see, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, over the October, November, over the next 7 months, 8 months, buckle up. As my friend Beverly Kirby said, she's a wonderful medium. It's going to be a wild ride. All right, everybody. Enough of me for right now. Thank you for watching Morning Moments with Mel. And I probably won't post much after Saturday or Sunday because I'll be gone, but I'll try to do some things from down in St. Croix. Sometimes the connections are bad, but it'll be from my iPhone. I'm not going to take my laptop. So you all have a wonderful day, a wonderful week, and stay well. And remember, let the fear get behind you and push you forward, and be vocal. Let your politicians know that you don't like what's going on. And if they don't take action, guess what? They can be fired, voted out. On that note, aloha, aloha, namaste. I wish you all the very best. If you email me about our event in Chicago at www.meldoerr.com, it might take me a week or so, or maybe 10 or 11 days to get back to you, but I will get back to you. All right, so stay well. Goodbye. Aloha. Namaste.